Hut hut hike! Ah, the magic of sports. From the roar of the crowd to the smell of the locker room, there's nothing that gets my blood pumping quite like a good old-fashioned game of sports. Go long! As Polygon's resident jock, I can appreciate feats of physical prowess in just about any game, from mini-golf all the way to regular golf. But this year has been a difficult one for me, and also everyone on Earth, because sports had to go away for a while in order to keep us healthy. Kinda like the McRib. Luckily, there's a different kind of sport that doesn't require large crowds of people coughing at each other in order to operate. They're called esports. Although we thought esports would blow up this year, they still couldn't fill the gaping, sweaty hole left by traditional sports. Even a pandemic was not enough to convince jocks that esports are kinda okay. And when traditional sports started to reappear, they were a shadow of their former self. Could 2020 mark the death knell of all sports? Or is that the ringing bell of opportunity? The proverbial field is wide open. If I can somehow blend together traditional and esports into a pastime smoothie everyone will enjoy sipping, I can bring joy back to humanity and also make a shit ton of money in the process. Today, I'm creating the perfect game and the future of sports. But when I began this task, I realized it would be challenging to tackle on my own. Creating this future sport,
For legal reasons, I must make it clear that there is a space between future and sport and has absolutely nothing to do with the 1998 Wesley Snipes masterpiece, Future Sport.
requires a larger perspective. This sport has to stem the vast chasm between gamers and jocks, the Mariana Trench of culture. I needed someone as passionate about sports and video games as myself. I needed someone with vision. I needed someone who, say, would be willing to use video games to simulate the destruction of basketball or create a golf course filled with cows and skyscrapers.
Hi, my name is Kofi Yaboa.
Kofi works at Secret Base, and his series, The Fumble Dimension, is kind of like if the mental anguish I suffer at the hands of Unraveled was crowdsourced. Kofi's penchant for seeing things through to their end, no matter the cost, makes him a perfect partner. In our preliminary meeting, we outlined our three-step process: research, development, and a live trial of our future sport in the form of a championship match. The first step, as always, is research. Kofi and I talked over what we'd like to see in our future sport, but that's just two people's perspectives, and it's two people who already love both sports and esports. With our perfect future sport, we want to appeal to everyone. The Venn diagram has very little overlap in the middle, and I just want to push those two circles right over each other, and I also want the only thing in that middle circle to be our new sport, which will kind of corner the market. So we interviewed our coworkers. Some just liked esports, others just traditional sports, to see what they loved and what could be improved about their favorite games. And after hours of interviews, it became clear that it really boils down to three things: access, community, and cool-ass shit. Access. People love watching games that they can play, and that's harder when games are more expensive, have convoluted rules, or require horses. It's why soccer is so much more popular than polo, and why Rocket League is an esport, and my pitch for Rocket Equestrian still hasn't been picked up by Blizzard.
I personally like watching Overwatch League whenever I can find it. I understand it mostly because I played a little bit before.
I think it is a problem with a lot of esports titles is that the barrier to entry is extremely high.
But even inaccessible games can be saved with good commentary.
Certain announcers really do a good job of making stuff accessible, I feel like. One person is doing the color commentary and explaining stuff, and one person is kind of calling the regular shots.
Community comes next. Sports and esports give you a common language to talk to strangers, like your Uncle Doug, who you only see once every 4 years, or when a relative dies. It just makes it so much easier when you can talk to him about how Canyon's jungle pathing really set them up for success at Worlds this year.
Just an environment where you can meet people with similar interests and just like emotionally invest yourself in something.
And finally, cool-ass shit, or as it's known in esports, epic pog moments. A moment of play that becomes transcendent, Stuff that causes this reaction.
I still, on a regular basis, think about the game winner for Kawhi against the 76ers.
The problem with cool-ass shit is that you can't plan for it. It just has to happen. But we can create rules that encourage cool-ass shit, and that's why I wrote down every great idea our coworkers had on what to improve.
Do you think that there's anything esports should be doing better?
Absolutely. First of all, I want more mascots.
There's a lot of screaming, so if you're not into that, maybe esports aren't for you.
Do you think esports could be helped if there was an option, kind of like a golf commentary?
You know what? I would.
Some kind of in-game economy.
Like, after inning 7, one team got way bigger bats.
Yeah.
Like if the quarterback had a stamina bar.
Why couldn't esports be held outdoors? It's always in an arena, esports in the snow.
After we had a good handle on what our future sport needed, Kofi and I met back up to discuss development. We started with a list of every sport.
According to the World Sports Encyclopedia back in 2003, so this, way out of date, there are 8,000 indigenous sports and sporting games. So,
oh my god.
Our original plan was to test every single sport in the world, and we were gonna do that, but unfortunately, my Dick's Sporting Goods order was not approved by my supervisor. But this ended up being a good thing.
It should be something that you could learn and play from age 5. I want kids to have to go out there and hang out with their, neighbor's dad who's coaching their little league for this hybrid sport we're making.
To get a better sense of what games had the lowest barrier to entry and were the most fun, Kofi and I created a survey with 25 popular sports and 25 popular video games. Then we asked you, the audience, which of these games you have either played or enjoyed spectating. And after over 16,000 responses, we ended up with this mess. The number 1 athletic activity was not soccer, the most popular sport in the world, but bowling. The only sport where you are not only allowed, but encouraged to eat curly fries while playing. Kofi and I decided to test the top 5 answers for both categories, but we ran into an issue. Neither of us had access to a Wii or owned Mario Party. Since this future sport needs a minuscule barrier to entry, we instead chose Solitaire, a game that shows up on every system, like recreational malware. And also, Despicable Me Minion Rush, which, according to Wikipedia at the time of writing this, has been downloaded 95 billion times. That means everyone on Earth has downloaded this game at least 12 times, which makes it quantifiably the most accessible game. With our 5 sports and 5 games picked, Kofi and I split up to test different combinations, ranking them on their synergy, access, and fun.
Okay, this is basketball and Smash Bros.
I'll try to hit that.
Not a bad workout.
I'm just playing 2 separate games. This is just 2 separate games.
Probably the most challenging of the 5 tests that I've had.
That was a good hit. That was a really solid hit. Because I have to go and reset the things now. Bowling is a bad choice. In the end, it turned out that none of the combinations worked perfectly. Even Minion Rush, everyone's favorite game, didn't work as a hybrid sport, simply because there were just so many fucking pop-ups. If I wanted to create a sport specifically to run ads, I would have invented football. For a moment, it seemed that a perfect hybrid of traditional and esports was nothing more than an impossible dream. But in our final meeting, there was a eureka moment.
What about trying to do an infinite runner while also chucking balls at people?
I'm all for it. That sounds like a great happy medium.
And with that, the silhouette of our future sport began to sharpen. Instead of Minion Rush, we went with the slightly less burdensome Subway Surfers. We spent a few days meticulously crafting the rules, not only to perfect the gameplay, but to make sure the competition would be safe during the pandemic. And once that was done, There was only one thing left to do. Play what will soon become the most popular game in the whole world.
It's a beautiful, overcast day in Brooklyn. The sky is making me blue, but not as blue as our main contender today. It's the Polygon Blue-Tailed Skinks, ready to bring it against the reigning champions, the Secret Base Ravens. How are you feeling about this matchup today, Josh?
Let's get down to some of the numbers here. The Secret Base Ravens have been undefeated for most of the season, while the Polygon Blue-Tailed Skinks, through a series of tough matches against other teams, they've really pulled it together. I think this might be their season.
For those of you who are new to the heart-pounding action that is Surfer Ball, let me explain the rules to you. Each competitor plays the free Endless Runner game while attempting to hit their opponents with balls. If they die in Subway Surfer, they must lock their feet into place and wait for the cooldown timer to run out. You must be moving in Subway Surfer in order to move in real life, but players do have one chance to skip the death cooldown timer by using a key.
Well, that's right, Jenna, but they only get one key the entire match, because otherwise they would have to spend money on microtransactions. Each round is played in volleys, which end once all the balls have been chucked out of the Surfer Ball arena, or both players die in Subway Surfer. The player who managed to hit their opponent 5 times wins the round, and gets to start the next round with an extra dodgeball in their starting lineup. The champion is determined by the best of 3 rounds.
These players are warmed up and excited to hit the pitch, so let's go and join the action.
3, 2, 1, go.
We're off to a very slow start here on the first game, and no one seems to be moving correctly.
A lot of hesitancy on the part of both of these, again, seasoned competitors. Been playing this game their whole lives. And yet seem to not have a basic grasp of what they're doing. But you know, that's just championship jitters that'll get you.
And here's the one-on-one set, and that's a hit!
That's a beautiful hit.
Okay, oh, just died. Oh shit, I also died.
And both of our competitors have died. They were not actively throwing balls at that moment, but they did still both die.
It's as though they've never had a phone in their hands in their lives.
All right, 2 players up to the match. Kofi starting his game early. This is a controversial technique that some teams deploy in order to get themselves into what one would call a groove.
Are we both dead? Yeah. Okay, I just have to hold it. Oh, I just have to hold it. Come on.
All right, I'm back.
Oh, no.
Oh, you could hear the anguish in his voice, and that's a hit right there.
Oh! That is a torturous bumper ball maneuver on Brian's side. The Blue Skinks playing a little dirty.
Hate to see it. You hate to see anything like this. Anything like this is just a detriment to the sport. It's really gets you. It really knocks the wind out of your souls. I don't know if Kofi's going to ever recover from this.
These 2 majestic beasts of men rushing the line. Kofi tagging Brian immediately with a little leg skip there. And Brian doing a classic hedge guarding technique here. We're seeing waiting for Kofi to die before he throws a ball, but fumbles it with his own death, and Kofi is able to sweep in with another hit.
Come on. Okay. Come on. Did you die? No. Playing. Okay, I'm back in it. Come on.
Oh my gosh! Oh, the weed snipe! Yes! Yes! This is what we've been waiting for. This only happens 3 times a year, and this is one of them. Replay this to your children, your children's children, and your forefathers. This is what the game is about.
On your marks, get set, go.
Kofi grabs the ball, but Brian stays back. But Kofi does not take the opening. Brian able to get a point.
I died.
Oh.
And a second hit!
Is that 5? That's 5. Oh, and I just barely made it through without dying.
Brian is celebrating as though he's won the entire game. The man who created the game does not understand that he still has more time. Oh, that's a great kick.
A classic show of tacky showmanship from our founder, Brian. Here we are in the second round. Brian, of course, winner of the first round, coming into this in a strong position. He's got 3 balls on his side and 1 in his heart. Oh, we see opening move, a dungaree scoop right into Kofi's center.
And Brian right now is an open house. Kofi is coming in. And he's just left open. Can't even close the doors. He's done.
Smells like freshly baked cookies in here because Brian is an open house. A beautiful autumnal morning. These 2 competitors rushing the center line. Dancing. It's a beautiful sport. That's a ball through the legs.
Such a nice day. I could feel the breeze right there. What about that woman in the background?
Oh, she looks like she's having a beautiful morning. I envy her.
She might be getting like a nice apple cider.
Maybe some apple cider donuts. Just a beautiful autumn morning. Immediately through the legs, Brian, with those tiny little chicken bones he calls feet, dancing around this ball. Kofi cannot land a hit. A lot of hopes lying on Kofi right now. Brian coming in with that dungaree scoop again. He loves that move, but it backfires as he takes a hit. And a second hit. Can you believe the athleticism, the confidence of Kofi?
Both of these players are now 1 for 1 and they go into the final round. Brian is currently taking down his hair. He only does this when it's serious, ladies and gentlemen, and this is Surfer Ball.
3, 2.
Here we have the rush. Oh, and we see Kofi coming off with an inverted dungaree. Landing a hit on Brian. Another hit on... A third hit on Brian! Can you believe it?
But where's Brian going right now? Brian is currently off the field. He's saying he's still in, but I'm looking at the rest. There's no rest. And he go... Where's the call? Where's the call? Currently, this is... I hate to say it. That was possibly the worst play I've seen in my entire Surfer Ball career.
For those of us who have followed Brian's career for a long time now, this kind of behavior shouldn't be a surprise. He's a scoundrel, and he's a bad boy, and he earned that reputation by doing nefarious deeds like this on the playing field.
All right, 3-1.
Two professional athletes winded by this mild amount of activity. Most of it in their thumbs.
All right.
They're readying
Let's
up.
do this. 3.
This is it.
2, 1. Begin.
Kofi lands a hand on a ball but does not throw it. Oh! He managed to hit one of those baby chicken legs. Brian trying to go for a ball. Both competitors dead now. And Brian uses one of his ki to land a single hit. Oh, Kofi using his ki to land the final hit!
And that is the game! The Secret Base Ravens are your champions for this season of Surfer Ball. Oh, the anguish in Brian's face could be seen from a mile away.
Could not happen to a better team, a better sportsman. Kofi is your champion, America. How do you like that?
Let's cut back to Brian real quick just to get his emotions right now. And he's face down on the ground as he begins to fertilize the field for next season of Surfer Ball.
And there you have it. Surfer Ball. An attempt by Kofi and I to create the perfect future sport, which obviously didn't pan out because I lost, so there must be something wrong with the rules. Back to the drawing board, Kofi.
I mean, I think the rules went fine for me.
No, I think you'll see if you check in round 2, volley 2. Oh no, that was terrible. Haha. Ooh, it was a bad move on my part. Shouldn't have been so excited about my soccer skills.